Me. Okay, today we are looking at today's chart and see what is out there, what's happening in the skies. So we know that the sun at the moment, if we look at the sun, it's at 14 degrees of Gemini. If you can see my pointer here, 14 degrees of Gemini, and it's a Gemini. Uranus is in Gemini as well. You can see here at 2 degrees. The moon is right this moment in the sky with Pluto, 5 degrees Aquarius. So if we talk about what's happening, then we know that the full moon in Sagittarius just a few days ago, and we've got some significant events coming up over the next couple of weeks. So the current video is really talking about that, this current YouTube that I'm doing, and see what resonates with you. And also, I do look at people's charts and I work with people individually. And the booking link is below in the description. So let's recap. The sun is at 14 degrees of Gemini here. If you see the pointer there, then 14 degrees. And then it's the heart of the Gemini season because the sun is there, the sign of the mind, of information, of the multiplicity of voices and perspectives circulating in the collective field. And with Uranus in Gemini, the sun is moving through the same sign as the great disruptor. And that quality of mental acceleration, of information overload, of not quite knowing which thread to follow. You may have found that with yourself lately. I don't know which thread to follow, but I'm keeping a few things sort of regulated in, like doing my YouTube on Thursday and I do my Substack Sunday. So I've got a few things that I'm keeping going. So this is very much the texture of this moment. And also what I did with my mobile, I turned off all notifications apart from my email. So I'm not being disturbed unnecessarily. So it's worth thinking about where you're being, communication is too much for you. So the moon here at 5 degrees, conjunct Pluto retrograde, also at 5 degrees, is worth looking at. Pluto is retrograde and it turned back, moving inward, pulling its transformative force underground rather than expressing it outwardly. So a retrograde, if you're learning, you can see the Pluto here with my pointer and you've got a little R there. So in any chart, you'll see that the R, and it's red. It's also red there on this chart. It's same retrograde. And the moon is the planet of instinct and our feelings and the collective emotional body, you know. It's watery. It's to do with Cancer in the chart as well. And it's sitting right on top of that retrograde Pluto right now. And this feels like an emotional intensity that does not have an obvious external target, so a heaviness perhaps. So when this happens, which it does once a month, we may feel that a bit heavy, that something's pressing from underneath that cannot yet be named or resolved. And Pluto retrograde asks us to do the inner work rather than project the transformation outward. It's inner. And the moon conjunct Pluto, even in retrograde, perhaps especially in retrograde, brings feelings to the surface that have their roots somewhere much deeper than the immediate situation. So you can look at your dreams to that. If you're somebody that dreams at night, you may have very interesting dreams when these aspects occur, and it's worth noting them because we can solve a lot of things when we dream. You know, they can be quite healing. They can be, you know, they can sort of like bring things up that maybe we haven't thought of that need to be addressed. So if you're finding right now that your emotional responses feel larger than the events seem to warrant, that is Pluto. It's not disproportionate. It's sort of, you know, it's an accuracy about it. It's showing us the depth of what is actually present. So you can sit with that and think about that. But you may watch this, you know, if you're watching this a day later, then the moon would have moved away on by then, because it takes about 2 days a sign, you know, nearly 2.5 days to go all the way around the chart. So the moon trine Uranus. So let's have a look here as well. It's in a trine, and Pluto is in trine with Uranus as well. Worth knowing. This is a nice The Pluto trine Uranus is a good one for humanity, I do believe. But the moon trine Uranus is less than, it's literally just a little bit off. It would have been exact when it was at 2 degrees, but there is the quality of unexpected insight and sudden release. So you may experience some insight and have a sudden release, the feeling that shifts without warning in a direction you did not anticipate, because it's to do with liberation, or shocks. But shocks can be, shocking things can also liberate us, being that something can shock us, but it can liberate us as well. So it depends where we're at in our emotional world. So trine to Uranus in Gemini from the Aquarian moon, 2 air signs, both concerned with the collective, and both are orientated towards something beyond the purely personal. And this is an aspect that can carry genuine moments of clarity if we are willing to let feelings move rather than holding them in place, because we can get very stuck with our feelings. Like if we all look at our lives, we can get very stuck on certain memories or feelings through no fault of our own. This is just a human condition. But the more conscious we become, then we can begin to allow them and let them move through us. So Mercury is also, I'm going to show you Mercury. It's 5 degrees of Cancer at the moment. And it's in a square to Neptune, which can make it a bit foggy for us. Not, fog outside, but foggy inside. But it's also, the other thing that it's doing is that it's an aspect which you may not have heard of. It's a quintile to Pluto. And there is one aspect, like this aspect, I am highlighting because it's, it's very close and it connects directly to the themes we have been tracking. Mercury quintile Pluto exact. The quintile is a fifth harmonic aspect. Now, I'm still learning about this stuff, so I don't know it all, when it comes to quintiles and things like that. The trines and the squares, and there's other things that conjunctions I completely understand, but the quintile is to do with the fifth harmonic aspect associated with creative intelligence and with the capacity to see patterns that others miss. So this is a nice, situation going on, and with the kind of mind that synthesizes rather than simply accumulates. So it's about synthesis, synthesizing something. Mercury quintile Pluto is an aspect of penetrating insight. And also, this is Aquarius, so that's insight as well. And then we do know that Mercury is in the sign of Cancer of 5 degrees. And this penetrating insight, the capacity to think below the surface to find the word or the idea that gets to the root of something. So we could have some breakthroughs with that, some creative breakthrough rather than staying at the level of description. And if you have writing to do, research to do, anything that requires going beneath the obvious, it's a good day for this with that 5 degrees. If we go a day ahead, it goes up to 7 degrees. So watch, Mercury's at 5 degrees and then it goes to 7 degrees. So you've got a bit of a window there to think about that. Now on June the 12th, you see this Uranus here is at 2 degrees, and we've got 2 degrees of the North Node and the South Node as well, 2 degrees. So the North Node is in Pisces, the South Node is in Virgo, and Uranus is in Gemini. So that's going to be exact on the 12th of June. If I go, you can see up here it says the 4th of June. If I go to the 12th of June, and we have here, you'll see that that's the North Node is 236 and you got 244. So that day is the day that they are in a sort of, they're meeting. It's called Uranus square the nodes. And the North Node is a square in Uranus right now, actually. But it will be exact on the 12th. And it's in almost a 1 degree orb of it, and it's applying. So 8 days from today on the 12th of June, that square goes exact. And I spoke about this in the full moon in Sagittarius video, and I want to return to it here because we are now inside the orb of the exact aspect. We are in it at this time. And this is not something approaching on the horizon, it's the ground that we're standing on right now. But the exact point is the exact point. So the nodal axis, it describes the soul's direction of growth and where we are collectively being drawn toward what we are being asked to release, what belongs to the past and what belongs to the becoming. And Uranus now squaring that axis from Gemini is a crisis point in our evolutionary direction. So crisis point doesn't, define something being bad. It can, it's just something that a crisis point is like we've got to make a move one way or the other. A sudden disruptive pressure that forces a choice. So it's time to make choices. And the question Uranus and Gemini is putting to the nodes right now is fundamental. And, can the collective mind evolve? Because we've got Uranus, Gemini, and it's about our mind and our collective mind in our own chart as well. For me, it's on my sun in my 7th house, and I can see what I'm being asked to do. Not exactly, not like an exact, like one paragraph of what I'm being asked to do, but it's a felt experience and how I'm living my life right now and deciding what direction I take. So this is, we communicate, the way we communicate, the way we process and circulate information, and also the way we form and hold belief. So this is a good thing to look at, the way our beliefs have been formed and how we're holding those beliefs. Can any of it actually change in the direction of greater consciousness rather than just simply greater volume and, greater speed? Like thinking about why do I think like that? And do I need to change the way I think about that, the way I'm communicating to myself or outwardly? But look for where that is in your chart. You want to look where Uranus is in your chart because it helps to define a little bit regarding the houses and then the aspects that Uranus is making to your own chart and the nodes as well. So for instance, the Uranus is in my 7th house on my sun, and the north node, is in my 3rd house of communication, to give you an idea. So a square, either way, is a tension aspect, and it does not flow automatically because something has to be navigated, something from the past and something into the future. The north node is the past, and the south node is the past, and the north node is the future. So we're navigating something. Which way am I going to go? And Uranus is involved, so the navigation, it can't be controlled. And also we've got Pisces there, which means that we need some faith as well and trust. And it can be met with as much presence and awareness as we can bring to it. And this is the beautiful thing about astrology, like pointing this out. We're bringing presence and awareness. And I would say that these days between now and June the 12th is pay attention to what, is breaking open, not breaking, but breaking open. What's opening up that Uranian energy, because also this, is related to Aquarius as well, Uranus, and Pluto is also in Aquarius at the moment. And it's in a trine, which is a very interesting thing that's going on for us. So pay attention. And, because something may have been previously obscured, a way of thinking about something. Uranus at this orb is already operating, so it's already there. And the exact date is the peak of that wave. It doesn't mean something's going to happen on that day, but it's at the peak of the wave when it's exact. And then on June the 19th, as I've spoken about before in my other videos, Chiron is entering Taurus 1 week after the Uranian nodal exact on the 19th of June. Chiron crosses from Aries into Taurus. So we'll look at Chiron. Chiron is here, and you can see it's just on the edge of going into the sign of Taurus. It's 29 degrees 43. And it's really, if we look at this, it's a very long transit because it takes about 50 years around the chart. And it's a significant shift in the wound that the collective is being asked to heal over the coming years, because Chiron will be in Taurus from 2026 and through to 2033 into 2034. So it's an 8-year transit. It's a long arc of collective wounding, the history of the wounding that's gone on, and how we're continually part of being human. All of these wounds are just, all over the world. People are going through such different things, and even in our private lives, not just collective in the sense of countries, and it's the territory, the healing is what the territory that Taurus governs. It's the wounding of it's the body as well. It's the values and self. And Chiron in Aries, where it has been, has carried the wound of identity, the wound of existing, or the right to begin, and the courage to be oneself in a world that often meets with assertion and with force. And I bring this up before, but if we look at 2020 right through till now, 2019, 2020, we can see that a lot of our identity was being questioned because of just us thinking, what we wanted to do for ourselves during that period of lockdowns and all of that. So people were trying to get people to, all be the same. Everybody's got to do the same thing. And that's not the way life works. So many people have been living through a profound crisis of selfhood because of this. Basic confidence required simply to be present and to act was, really quite damaged. And Chiron in Taurus moves that wound into a different territory. Taurus governs the body, the earth, material security, the question of worth and value, and the throat and the voice. It's to do with the voice as well. The collective wound that Chiron in Taurus will be working with across these 8 years is the wound of felt worthlessness, the deep, often pre-verbal sense that one is not enough. So this is what we're going to be working on. I will say that will dip back into, it's going to go into Taurus, then it will go retrograde. And then by 2027, it will be, at the beginning of 2027, it will begin to move back it will be back in Taurus. And then for 8 years. So that pre-verbal sense that one is not enough, that safety cannot be trusted, that the body itself is not a reliable home. And many of us may feel that as well, uncertainty or hypervigilance and such like. And at the level of the collective, this speaks to the crisis of material security as well, which we're going through with the creation of AI and such like. And we can see the resources and things that are going on in the world. So you can see that the material security and the enormous numbers of people are living through some sort of crisis with this, and the severing of the land, the stable livelihood, and also the Taurian ground of physical safety and belonging. So we do need belonging. The good thing about Pluto in Aquarius is that, this is to do with the collective. So this is quite helpful. And this trine to Uranus is also helpful. So the healing with Chiron in Taurus will not be fast and it will not be comfortable. But we don't need to worry about that. We just need to focus on ourselves, and not in a, it's not a selfish thing to focus on ourselves. It's really looking to the needs of the body. And Chiron's healings, the healings of Chiron are never like, there's no quick fixes, because Chiron, the mythology, is where he never healed, but his wisdom carried him into being a great teacher. But the direction of the healing is toward genuine embodiment. So what we're being asked is to embody ourselves towards a relationship with worth that is intrinsic rather than earned or accumulated. So it's not how much I've got. It's like how, if we don't have our health, then it doesn't matter how much money we've got. And this is the truth. So towards the recovery of the voice that speaks from the body rather than over it. So it's embodying that voice and the voice that you've been given, and embodying it and really using it in a way that's really helpful to yourself and to the collective. And I'll be making, I'll probably do another video on Chiron in Taurus, which I have done before, but I will look at this a bit more. So this is a preview, and it's the arrival notice that it's, you can mark the 19th of June on your calendar, and June 19th, because something is going to shift in the collective wound and around this upcoming time. The first few degrees of any shift into a sign is when things really kick off. And from what I've seen, even with Uranus going into my seventh house, you begin to see these changes working out. And the retrogrades coming up. So the retrogrades coming up is that we've got Mercury stations retrograde on the 29th of June, I believe. Let's double check I know what I'm talking about. So let's see, the 29th of June. 29th of June, and we've got Mercury stations retrograde at 26 degrees of Cancer. So you can look where that is in your astrology chart. And that's my 8th house. So then we've got, that's only 3 weeks away, isn't it? Yeah, it's 3 weeks away, because it's the 4th, 5th today. It's just come up to the 5th, June 5th in the UK. But then we've got Neptune stations retrograde on the 7th of July. So let's go to July and move in the chart. Let's see where Neptune is here, and it stations. Okay. So then it goes retrograde. Yes. Let me go back. Yeah. So it's direct, and then it stations. And then it goes retrograde. And that's for about 5 months. I won't give you the exact date because I haven't figured that one out yet. So, and that will be July 7th at 4 degrees of Aries. And Saturn then stations retrograde on the 26th of July. This is going to be fun. Load of retrogrades coming up at 14 degrees of Aries. And there are 3 outer and inner planets all turning inward within the space of roughly 7 weeks. So by late July, we will be in a very significant retrograde season, with Pluto already retrograde. The second half of 2026 is asking for inward work, for review, reconsideration. So rewind, relax, review, rewind, review, relax. So as much as you can, because we can't always relax. It's reconsideration, the return to things that were left unresolved. And the current window now, this month, early June, is still time for forward movement, for seeding, for acting on what the recent, the things that have been going on, the recent things in the sky, what's been illuminated. And we can use it because the season that follows will be more reflective in nature. So that is where we are inside the Uranus nodal square in 8 days to the exact approaching Chiron's entry into Taurus, and the moon sitting on Pluto at this moment. But by the time you watch this, it's going to start moving on. And it's asking for both presence and preparation. And I hope this has been useful for you. So if you want, you can see my booking page below in the description. And if you want to tell me, let's see what question I can ask you. Where is the North Node in your chart at the moment? For me, it's in my 3rd house of communication. So that would be an interesting question to check out your own chart. If you're just learning, you can look to see where Pisces North Node is. And actually, if we look before I go, the North Node will then move into, I'm going forward, it'll move into Aquarius on the July 27th, 2026. So we've got something else to look forward to. That will be a big shift as well. Okay, much love and catch you later.